One of the things that Sergio and I personally love about this festival is that they keep bringing back legacy acts or legendary bands from our past that might have been inactive for a few years, and they've maybe done a little small reunion tour, and they always make sure, some of these bands always make sure they have a stop at Primavera. It's the kind of bands that form part of the DNA of this festival. And today we have a band that signifies a lot to us and to Primavera Sound. Texas is the Reason is here.
Welcome, guys.
Swelling with that introduction, man. Holy cow.
It's because you are, I mean, this is a lineup with, I don't know, 150 bands on there, different eras, you know, bands that are very exciting now because there's a lot of hype, legendary acts like The Cure, but there's always that little pearl on the top, you know, the cherry on top, you know, for real Primavera diehard fans. You know, this is a festival of music nerds, and Texas is the Reason was one of the names that when it appeared on the lineup release video, was like, whoa! Yeah, we went crazy.
Well, so did we when we saw the lineup. We made the same noise.
When we got the ask if this is something that we'd want to do, it was like, are you serious?
It would be really funny that you saw the lineup and without knowing anything, like, yeah, okay, a surprise for you.
Oh, it was an instant yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we always, you know, as music nerds, like you said, we've been following, you know, and seeing, and then hearing like that the opportunity come to us. It was like almost like
we have a lot of friends bands who have played here too. Friends who have worked as in the production end of it. Well, so we've been hearing about it for years. So.
Yeah,
but what a blessing to get invited.
It's because you know, I mean, last year last year we had Cap and Jazz. The year before that, American football. I don't know. It's
Mineral plenty of times.
Mineral.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's always been
honored.
It was always the Spanish festival that it was the place to come and enjoy all the great bands from the, let's put the umbrella of, let's say, Midwestern emo.
We're not Midwest though.
We're from New York.
Not your case.
We're the exception.
I mean, like we always say, like we have to read like the copy pasta, the real emo copy pasta. You know about that? The real emo only consists of the DC emotional hardcore scene and the late 90s screamo scene.
There you go. Copyright trademark.
I mean, how many hours of your band tours and stuff, you know, for being in a van or having discussions with other friends from other bands in scenes that you've moved in? How many hours have you spent discussing what is emo? What is and like, we're not emo, or this kind of?
Yeah, when we started, we just thought we were like an indie rock band. You know, there was no like really word, and there's like, you know, like and then I guess like it was post-hardcore because you know, we were all in these like hardcore bands and playing fast and, you know, with mosh parts and stuff and jumping around and jumping all over each other.
Yeah.
So, and then later it came on. I mean, we always kind of like called like, you know, all those early DC bands emo because that was just kind of the thing. And to consider us like in the level of a band like Embrace or Rites of Spring, that's nothing we were connecting ourselves to, even though those were bands that were important to us. But it was just like a natural progression of like music that we wanted to play.
Yeah. And my answer when people talk to me about it is, what music isn't emotional?
Yeah, that's
what
true.
music
That's
isn't
true.
emo?
I mean,
you know, but yes, is there a tagline connected to it? Yeah. Are we ashamed of it? No.
Hell no.
Not at all.
Let's jump right in.
Let's stay in those waters. Those are comfortable, warm, calming waters to be in.
There is this website that is called "Is This Band Emo?" So let's check if Texas is the Reason is emo.
Okay, let's see.
Find out. Texas is the Reason is an emo band.
Yeah.
Texas is the Reason invented emo.
Interview over. Thank you, Primavera.
But
Settled.
the story of Texas is the Reason is amazing because really, you know, you've made an incredible career from just one album released 30 something years ago.
30, yeah.
30,
yeah,
exactly.
30 exactly. 30.
30 years anniversary.
Exactly, yeah.
And you know, you've been on and off. You know, you've reunited at various stages over these decades and stuff. What feels different this time from when you first started rehearsing again for these tours of this year?
I would say everything.
Yeah, it's just been the world has just been so different, you know, in so many different ways, from good things and bad things, and you know, it's just
agreed. But it's never felt more like our band than it does right now. But I don't think we've ever worked harder on it. We've never dedicated more time and love and energy to it. It's paying off because we're here talking to you good people in Primavera, and we're able to tour and play places that we've had the pleasure of playing before, but also for a lot of first timers for us last year and this year. So that's very exciting as well.
And when you look at the lineup today, is there any other band that you're enthusiastic about, like running into or even getting to see perform?
Slow Dive. First thing that's in my head. I mean, we're gonna go see The Cure right after. It's a shame that we're playing side by side with Rilo Kiley. I'd like to see them.
Yeah.
I would love to see them.
I just think we're just happy to be in the general area
The
of
bubble.
all these, friends and colleagues and people we look up to. People, so it's really just great feeling just to be included.
Yeah, really.
And this nowadays reunion, what was behind it? Your 30th anniversary, or it was something else? Like,
What was the
last year,
motivation?
yeah, what was the motivation? Because I mean, it was like Best Friends Forever, the festival that called you before. Or was like, yeah, we're making like 30 anniversary, and we want to make this reunion again.
I think it was more the universe.
Yeah.
Scott wasn't living in New York at the time. He had moved back to New York, and the 3 and 4 of us being in the same area opened the doors to, hey, let's get into a room and see what this feels like. And it felt good right away. And did the fact that it was a 30-year anniversary of the band, last year was the 30th anniversary of the band, like, did that play a role? For sure.
Yeah, I think that was just like, hey, by the way, do you realize it's 30 years? You have something to do with this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it's 30 years, we got to do this. It was really like,
oh, we should celebrate that. Like, why wouldn't we celebrate that? That was that's the easy answer.
yeah. And we were spending a lot of time just as friends, hanging out, going to dinner, going to lunch, going to shows. And I think that's kind of what had happened. We just like, okay, well, what else did we do as friends? We played in this band. We made this music. We traveled with this music. So just kind of like a natural progression for our 4 friends of us.
We try not to force things too much. And we've kind of found out the hard way in the past over the years that when you force stuff, it just gets a little
Weird.
It's a little edgy. Yeah. It's not as soft. So, and so far, so good. It's been a real blessing so far.
And you've all had side projects and stuff. You've all been active in music for all these years. It's not like you went and did other things outside of music. What about the idea of creating more new music together as Texas is the Reason? Is that something
that's a secret?
Because, for example, I mean,
never say never.
American football, when they reunited, they've recorded 3 new albums. Slow Dive.
No competition there.
Even Sunny
No
Real Estate recorded a live album, a new one. So
Yeah.
is there a possibility of new music from...
Anything is possible in this day and age. We just wanted to kick things off to like really focus in on celebrating the album because it meant so much to us and thankfully to some other people too. It meant it was important for us to really dig into those songs again and make them the best that they've sounded to celebrate the album. And I think once we're done with that cycle, I would love to have.
Yeah, I think we're 4 creative people, and we just had to really focus on showing up to Primavera and being the great Texas Reason that people want to hear. If we came out and started playing new songs today, it'd be like a whole bunch of crowded blank faces, right?
Yeah.
So like I think as soon as the opportunity for us to be creative comes, we'll tackle that in a way.
Yeah.
What about gear-wise? I mean, a lot has changed in 30 years and technological advancements and stuff. Without getting too technical and nerdy, how has the band changed? Like, have you brought new setups or new dynamics into the way you perform live?
We've been able to have like the best crew, like the best sound man, the best sound, like best stage crew, like in that, and like just having that trust of people that can take care of us, and we know that as long as we show up and do what we need to do, they're here to take care of us, and I think that's kind of something. But as far as gear, we're playing the same stuff that we've always played.
Yeah,
like same amp, like not the same exact amps, but the same models, the same the same. Yeah, we're not changing
that's
anything.
super cool.
We're not trying to be futuristic. Is the reason
That's super cool because I think it was Botch when they reunited like 2 years ago. They got all the original stuff. They recorded
the original stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Good for them. That sounds really cool. Yeah. I mean, I
still have the bass that I recorded our records with. That and I've been playing. I didn't feel comfortable bringing them on a plane overseas because I don't want to lose that bass. I have 40 years. We might have been 30 years. I've had that bass for longer than that. So I just was like, I don't know about that. But so we do have some equipment that's still. And Chris's drums that we play in the States are the drums that are the Ludwigs, the silver Ludwigs that he's had since.
My Telecaster is living a second life in a band in Germany. The guitar that I recorded most of that Texas is the Reason album with, it lives on in another band somewhere.
Someone bought you
It was kind of like at the end of a tour, and it was actually 1997. I gave the guitar to our sound man. A gentleman named Ma Rob. Ma, if you're listening,
Shout out, Ma.
you, buddy. We love you. I got gifted to him, and that was 1997. The next time I saw it, when did we play Grows Rock?
2013?
2013, we played Grows Rock Festival in Belgium. I think did you point the case out?
The case came in,
and
I locked in right on it.
Cases were coming in, and my guitar case that had Texas spray painted on the side, like some just stage guy from a Belgian stage guy just walked in, and he's like, "There's your guitar." And I
that's super cool.
It was my guitar. And the next time I saw it was last year, 2025, in a picture from a stage somewhere in Germany. Somebody had bought it from somebody else, and now it's in, I forget the name of the band, but
it's super cool that you can keep track of your guitar.
It's
without an AirTag,
Without an AirTag. I was just going to say that. We all bought a lot of AirTags for this tour. That's what's changed.
You use AirTags.
Everything has AirTags now.
I
We
know,
got to keep an eye on that shit.
Because so many bands have had equipment stolen. People like specifically stealing equipment because and then there's a black market for this kind of stuff.
That sounds like they're horror movies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. I don't even want to. Horrible stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of stuff has changed.
Yeah, AirTags.
No puedes no verlas, ¿verdad? Dejan huellas que no se borran fácilmente. Juegan como si el tiempo no fuera con ellos. Sin decir una palabra, pero aún así te obligan a parar y mirar. Se quedan en tu cabeza, mucho después de que el show termine. Por más que las persigas, simplemente siempre estarán un paso por delante. Superstar. Superstar, de Adidas Originals.
It's funny because, now there's like obviously Gen Z and, young kids who are enamored with the 90s in general. And obviously they're turning up at your shows, I imagine.
Yeah.
What do you miss from the 90s that is totally different now?
No cell phones.
Yeah.
Not knowing where anybody is at any given time.
Yeah, and just being able to show up somewhere, going to and walking down the street, and
but while this band was gestating and becoming a real band in 1995, 1996, like in New York City, we met up in all corners of that city without ever telling each other about it. It's just like I miss that aspect of it, but there's a bunch of shit that I don't miss either.
Yeah.
I think I would probably I do miss how affordable it was to jump in a van and go on tour for 6 weeks and not really have to sweat about rent or bills, or I just don't see how a young band would be able to do that now, at least in America. I don't, maybe it's different here in Spain, but
it's the same.
No, it's the same.
It's the same. Okay. So I just, like that, the aspect of being able to book your own tour, borrow a van and go out for 4 weeks, seems like an impossibility now, but that's how we became who we are, was by that route, So.
Yeah.
But things changed. People,
Life changed.
Life changes. Everything
completely.
changes.
Yeah.
And how's this tour been going so far? You've been traveling all over. Where did you fly in from? Did you say now from
Dublin.
UK?
UK, right?
Yeah, we came from Dublin, so we were in the UK before. Glasgow, London, Manchester.
Yeah, it was It had been 13 years since we played in the UK, and it was our first time ever in Ireland. So it was quite an emotional couple of days, man. It was every show was great, and people were just ready for it.
Talking about being emotional, how do all these 30 years old songs feel to you now?
Yeah, the
When you
lyrics
play
and
it.
everything.
Same. They feel exactly the same as we did when we were playing them in 1996. That's the really weird, special thing about this band, that I hear it so much that like people come and tell me, like, it's like, hey, I put on this other record and it doesn't match up. I put on your record. It sounds like it came out this year. Like there's just something that we got so lucky that we just tapped into this sound that just was like that. And it doesn't seem like we're doing any. I mean, I think we're a little bit more tired at the end of the show. That's a little bit different. If you want to be honest, but I think like it doesn't feel like we're doing something that seems dated or like that's
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They feel like home to me. I don't really know how else to explain it. It feels like what I'm supposed to be doing, the music I'm supposed to be playing. Some nights are harder than others to really plug into that, and that's okay, because like everything else, it has its ebbs and its flows. But when we lock in, it's just, to me, it's just the most natural thing that I could be doing as an expression of me and us, and the greater us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are still all based in New York, most of you? And
New Jersey and New York.
New Jersey and New York?
Between the two. Two of them are in New Jersey, and Scoots and I live in New York.
Because it strikes me, nearly every band we talk to who used to live in New York when they were young and stuff, they all end up moving way upstate, or because obviously
we all did that. We all
did that and got dragged back.
I was living in California for 10 years, West Coast for 10 years more. And then
I was up in the Catskills for a couple years. And
Yeah.
Chris and John live right in New Jersey. Chris spent a lot. They grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And they spent some time, in Brooklyn. And
their roots go deep there. So it's
raising. You have a family now, so
Yeah.
it's like getting.
Because you were mentioning earlier that you're still, even when you're not touring and stuff, you're still friends and you'll call each other up to go to see a show and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Not just a show either, just a walk or a coffee or just to talk shit.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, I hear that New York, because it's getting more and more expensive and stuff, you don't see like the creative atmosphere that there was 10 years ago, the Brooklyn thing.
You don't, but I'm sure Scoots has an answer too. But the way I look at it now, I'm 52. I'm gonna hope in my heart that it's just happening somewhere and I'm too old to know about it. And I'm not hip enough to know about like the enclave or the area or the neighborhood where all that stuff is cooking, because New York is always gonna have that.
Yeah,
it's
right.
always going to have that creative edge over really anywhere else. Maybe second only to maybe Barcelona, honestly. But
it's getting expensive too.
Yeah. It's happening everywhere.
That's true. I mean, like we said, everywhere changes.
Yeah, I don't think New York's ever going to have a problem with having creative people there.
Yeah,
and being inspiring to creative people. And to be honest, when I was living, I always had these conversations with my people I would run into, like, or I'd be around in California. I'd be like, and because then also I through my work I had work that was in New York a lot, and I'd be like, oh, I'm going home for 3 weeks, and they were like, don't you live in Santa Monica? I'm like, I was like, no, New York's my home. I grew up there. And they're like, well, your home is. And I was like, no, like I never would let that go.
Yeah.
And I just think that's just a part of being in New York. Like that part stays with you,
Yeah.
But I do think, and I'm not tapped in, but I definitely know there is a younger generation that is being creative. There's beautiful music being made by a lot of younger people that's been influenced by new stuff, old stuff, current stuff. It's and I think that's always going to be New York and these little pockets of artistic communities and but I think New York is just that always going to have that drive from its history.
It might just be logistically hard to get done, but that shit's getting done.
Yeah, and
what?
I mean, also it was hard for us as kids. It was still expensive, and I think that's, if you want to do it, you're going to do it. You'll find a way to do it.
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
going to chew through as much as you can to get it done.
Yeah. That's great. And listen, about the name of the band, it's funny because I always one of my favorite albums is the Lift to Experience the Texas Jerusalem Crossroads. And there's a moment when Josh T. Pearson sings, and Texas is the reason. And for some reason, I thought that's where you got the band name from. It comes from a Misfits song, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's just a coincidence that.
I'm pretty sure that was post us.
So,
That
I
one.
think so.
so
yeah.
he was maybe giving a nod or something?
I like to think, my ego likes to think that, that we pulled those lyrics out of the Texas, of the Misfits song.
Yeah.
And made it a focal point, because there's been a book now about like skateboarding and punk rock in Texas. There's that guy. People, you'll see it, in other places. A lot of people from Texas use it as a thing for them.
Yeah.
If you're wearing something, a button or a pin or a shirt, and someone from Texas and they don't know what that is, they go right up to you, because like people are really proud to be from Texas. So yeah, I think, I'm not patting myself up. That name was gifted to us by the drummer from the Van Pelt. So, like while sitting around my apartment in East Village, like while we were brainstorming names for the band.
I remember not liking it at first.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at first.
But yeah, I think, it's just been, and it was just such a random thing that sounded cool and out there. I probably wouldn't like it today if we go back, but it's a cool name, and it sticks out, and it kind of fits our band perfectly for what it is.
Somehow. Yeah.
It's cool that you've mentioned the Van Pelt, because I think they are quite close to Barcelona. Like, because there's this label, La Castaña.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've like released many albums from them.
Yeah, we played. They played with us last year. Right?
Yeah, they played our first show back.
Yeah, Van Pelt played one night, and then
Ted Leo,
one of the other brothers played with us as well.
Yeah.
Wow, great lineup.
Yeah, old friends, like family, not even just friends, just that's family to us.
Yeah, and one more sort of question that has to do with reminiscing. No, I mean, Texas's reason is credited as sort of creating kind of the codes for what. I know the emo dialogue.
No, I'll take it.
Take it.
Yes.
But when I was researching, some of the things that was said is that you guys were trying to get away from the macho attitudes that were prominent in the hardcore scene and the hardcore punk scene and stuff, and that you guys didn't really connect with that, and that was a reason that you decided to go more melodic, a bit more emotional in your lyrics and stuff. Can you remember those thoughts that you were having, and was it really that suffocating is a strong word, but I don't know.
Yes, for example, I remember like at the drive-in, you used to stop the show when the motion began.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think it was, also like towards that time in the mid 90s, like, before we started, there was a lot of fights at shows. Like that's when a lot of the swinging of the hands and the kick started happening. And I didn't want to create that energy for people to do that to. That was my thing, and I loved that as a kid. And I was the first person to stage. I used to go to shows and be like, I'm going to get the first stage dive tonight. Like that, I get it. But there was something about going to see other bands that we like that play, Fugazi, it's like, oh, they're energetic, they're amazing, they're beautiful, they're a part of this world, and they ask people to respect each other, and that just made sense, and now that's changed too, because just have fun now, like no one's gonna get in the way from anyone having fun, but
I also think our music tastes just had changed and evolved, like just the same way that as we were growing up as human beings, maybe we weren't listening to as much of that kind of music and, plugging into a different outlet, as it happens and when you're 19 and 20 and 21 years old. I mean, just like I was bouncing all over the place. But by the time I met up with these gentlemen, I had taken a turn to more melodic, kind of dreamy type stuff. Anyway, hey, it didn't change that, I still like some hardcore music, but yeah, it was as usual with us. It was an organic thing that just kind of happened. That's just the kind of music that happened when the four of us got in the room together.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I wasn't playing guitar right at the kickoff.
Yeah, and also I just
mostly them.
Kind of think that it was hardcore and punk is this like music for young people to get into because it seems attainable.
Yeah.
And I think that, as we grew with the music and the music got different and expanded, and we are, like he said, our taste started growing. I think we wanted to try to, push and change and add some of that stuff to what we like. And I think that's kind of how, we get all these weird titles of, post-hardcore and emo and indie rock and,
it's important that
Krishna core or whatever you want to,
That one's in there for sure.
Yeah.
But it's good because it's important that people talk, and it's good that they talk about that rather than shit talk.
Yeah, you suck,
Yeah, or
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like that I Am McKay video and that he's like really pissed off of the emo tag.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah. I can see where he came from. you
Yeah.
know? I can see it.
Well, thank you so much,
it's a
guys.
pleasure.
An honor
fun.
for us to finally meet you. It's we can't believe it's taken this long for you guys to come to Primavera, and we're going to be there.
We're going to do our best to make it worth that wait, man.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure.
Thank you guys.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome.